transgender. Get the fuck out of my house, now, now, now!
So would you rather the kind colored girl stay in the ghetto like you want us to?
I've taken a few days to sit back and think on how all this is played out online, and I thought I'd wrap up my thoughts on the matter given the recent series of videos Gabbie has put out in response. So by now, I'm pretty sure that everyone that cares to know has seen most of what's been going on. I posted a video last week regarding her strange coercive house guest situation.
Alexander Hamilton.
Hannah's
Why
house.
do you ride like you're running out of time?
Oh, hi. Hi.
Think you can use your bathroom?
Yeah, sure.
Which is something till this day I feel very strongly about being completely wrong and ill-intentioned by Nick. But even with that on the table, Gabbie still has a lot of other things to answer for.
Gabbie HANNA deleted this,
I'm
but
gonna
I
give you some of
saved it,
Mama's tough
and
love
yikes.
right now. I want you to know that I'm here for you always. I will accept you through your journey no matter what. The choice is always yours to be happy. But I'm telling you right now that if you learn to love yourself, please,
I
baby.
can't even.
Please love yourself because I love you. No false idols. I am your mother. Love your body. Love what God gave you. It's fun. Every sick thought you have, explore it. Is this safe? Is this sane? Yes, baby. You are safe and you are sane. You are confused. And I'm here to help you and show you if you please because I love you. And if not, I love you anyway for fucking ever and ever. So would you rather the kind colored girl stay in the ghetto like you want us to? 911 abuse? The colored girl in the suburban area?
Hey, look, I know you're going through a manic episode, and trust me, we all here for you. We always on your side when that weird white boy not broke into your crib, somehow coerced his way into your house and was being weird and recording you and stuff like that. But we're not about to sit here and let this slide. I don't know what your ethnicity is or what you think your race is. You're not black. Why are you saying the word colored? Some of y'all non-black folks be getting a little too comfortable with y'all lingo. Y'all got to chill with that.
Okay, this is for Miss Gabbie. I know you're going through a lot. I get it, you're going through it. But mental health is not an excuse to say anti-black stuff. It's not an excuse to say nappy-headed this in the past. It's not an excuse to use the term colored. It's just not an excuse to be internally racist. I get it, you're a Middle Eastern woman, but you're not black.
She just trauma fucked all of you guys. All of you guys are right in the skull. But black women knew it was happening. Women of color knew it was happening. It feels so good to watch so many people be wrong and wrong about defending a racist woman. You don't believe she's not racist? There's a video that she just posted right now, just like 5-6 minutes ago, dancing to Tupac's Keep Your Head Up. And she knows the connotation behind that. She does. She is a fucking troll.
Coming from someone who is mentally ill and who studied to be a therapist. I am not a therapist anymore, but I was. Your mental illness is not an excuse for the fucked up shit you do when you're manic or in active psychosis. So y'all say, oh, well, let's not bully her for being transphobic and racist. Bullying and holding someone accountable are two different things. And y'all really can't understand the difference. Because if we let this go, this is saying that anytime anyone with some privilege is presenting very severely with their mental illness, they're allowed to say whatever and they can be forgiven. So black people, trans people, and the rest of the vulnerable populations are just supposed to take it? All the communities that she has offended over the last couple of days deserve an apology. And that's not debatable.
This right here is exactly why I made the video that I made and I said what I said. Because people want to sit here and pretend like her going through a mental situation should ignore all of the racist and transphobic things she said. You are not in the group that gets to determine that. I'm sitting here saying, hey, this is a problem. We should not let this fly because what? Other people are going to do the same thing. And also, outrage marketing, that's what people do all the time. They try to make black people upset, especially black women, so they can get their names out there. Why do I have to be a fucking punching bag because someone's going through something? And the answer is, I'm not going to be a punching bag. And when I see some bullshit, I'm going to call out some bullshit. And you thinking, oh, this is a good idea to come into my comment section and say this because she's having a mental breakdown? I've had mental breakdowns. I'm not sitting out here saying some racist, transphobic stuff. I'm not sitting here making fun of other people's religion or doing caricatures or talking about stuff disrespectfully. No, that's not gonna fly. That's what I said when I said. Thank you for being an example.
When seemingly feeling a little bit more grounded, Gabbie finally decided she was going to address the points people were criticizing her for in what she originally planned to be an 8-part series.
I was manic. I am bipolar. I've talked about it. You can scroll back. It's no secret. I'm bipolar. But I've never experienced a manic state. I've only ever experienced a hypomanic state. So that was actually a brand new thing for me that I was experiencing in real time with all of you guys. But it didn't start that way. It started with me doing some spoken word poetry and trying to talk about things that I care about, which are homelessness and dying children and the environment, and also talk about the overlap of religion and aliens and mental health and dimensions and all of these different concepts like karma, and how we've politicized them and made them into these weird culty controlling type things, when in reality we're mostly just using different language for the same thing. Where I feel shit started getting really intense was when that guy came to my door and asked me to use my bathroom. And I know that a lot of people were like, why the fuck would you let a stranger in your house? But from where I was sitting, I try to be kind wherever I can. So it was like 9:30 in the morning and I was on the phone with my friend, and some guy has one earbud in and he's kind of sweaty and he says, I was just on a run and I was wondering, can I use your bathroom? And I sized him up and he asked him his age. He's 27 years old and he was wearing pretty tight clothes. I could see that he didn't have any like guns or didn't see any weapons on him. So my bathroom is right by the front door. So I was like, sure, you can use the bathroom. And then when he came out of the bathroom, I was still on the phone with my friend and he asked me if I wanted to hang out. And I said that I couldn't because I had plans for the day. And he said, what are you doing? And I said, well, first I'm going to go for a run. And he asked if he could go for a run with me. And I said, well, I really prefer that to be my alone time. That's where I really meditate and think and pray. And then he asked if he could pray with me. And my friend was still on the phone. I asked him if he wanted some coffee. So I got his prints, I got his DNA, I had him say his full name on the phone. I really felt like I was protecting myself just in case this 27-year-old scrawny ass guy was gonna try something. He knew that I had his prints and his DNA and also a witness to his name and the fact that he was there. So as he kept pushing to hang out with me after I told him that I wasn't interested, I asked him basically, you know, do you have any friends? Like, are you okay? Because he was like shaking, and now I know why. It's because he was doing something incredibly disgusting and manipulative and he was nervous about it. But he told me he didn't have any friends and he was feeling really alone, and I'll explain more in part 2. So then I put his name and his face on the internet. So I'm like, there's no way this guy could be that dumb to do something. Like, I feel pretty protected. Again, it's 9:30 in the fucking morning. Like, there's people in and around my house. Like, I had the windows open. Like, what? I didn't think that he was going to like murder me or like hurt me or something like that. But then he followed me upstairs after I very specifically told him to stay downstairs. And that's when I was like, okay, this kid is pushing a boundary. This isn't safe. So then I filmed him again and I just kept putting him on the internet to remind him that there are people watching him and to not do anything stupid. So then I get a text from a bunch of friends actually, and they're like, hey, I don't know who the fuck you think that guy is in your house, but get him the fuck out because he's posting in your house. So I was like, okay, let me get this kid the fuck out of my house. And that's where you saw me scream, get the fuck out of my house. And then he left. So after I kicked him out of my house, I was like pretty shaken and like hurt, to be honest, because like this city is so fucking evil, like straight up. And like, no matter like what happens to me, like I still fight so hard to just like try to do the right thing and the kind thing, because I don't want to be one of those people who turns people away in their moment of need. Like, if you're out walking and like you're like, fuck, I have to use the bathroom. Like, this guy literally said to me like, yeah, I almost went on the street, but like there's kids that play out here and that's pretty gross. And there's literally a sign down where I go for a run sometimes where somebody literally wrote like, kids play here,
please don't pee here, literally. So I'm like, yo, this guy literally just wants to use the bathroom. I don't want to be the person who slams the door in a stranger's face when they're asking for like a bare minimum need. Like, this guy didn't want to whip out his dick in public and pee where kids play. I thought that was like a pretty respectable thing. Now we all know that that is not the case. But after I kicked him out, I was like really shaken, like I was upset. I just put on some music, I went in my room. Sorry, I'm trying not to get emotional about this, but it is upsetting. So I was just like pacing around in my room and like trying to calm myself down. And then I hear banging at my door and I thought it was him. So I just set my alarms on my phone, and then I hear banging and banging and banging, and then I got my glass break alarm that went off on my phone, and then I got the critical alarm that went on my phone, which means somebody has now broken and entered into my house. And then I heard this loud bang downstairs, which I thought sounded like a gunshot, but I didn't know. But either way, there was a loud bang. My worst case scenario that just happened is that kid broke back into my house, my private armed patrol came, found him, and shot him. So I was just sitting in my room like hyperventilating, and then I hear people calling my name at the bottom of the stairs, like, Gabrielle, Gabrielle. Part 3 coming. So I asked them, who is it? And they said, it's the police. So I come down, like, I don't know if they're lying or not, because I don't know if whoever just fucking broke into my house is lying about being the police, but I just had faith that it was, because what else do you do? So I come down the stairs, I see 4 of the 5 officers standing right at the bottom, and I was like, what's going on? And they're like, we're just here for you, we're just here for your safety. At this point, I still don't know what's going on. I don't know if I'm gonna walk in on a dead body. I don't know, like, if this kid was on the run. Like, I literally have no fucking idea what's going on, or how there's all of a sudden all of these cops in my house, what felt like moments after this kid left. Like, I actually don't know the exact time. I know he got here around 9:30. They got here between 10 and 10:30. I don't really know how long he was in my house, but they asked me to turn around on the stairs, and then they cuffed me. And I said, why am I being put in cuffs? And they just kept saying, it's for your own safety, it's for your own safety. So then they had me sit down in this chair, and I'm like, what's going on? And they're still not answering me. They said that they're still just trying to do this for my safety. So then I'm like, oh my God, was this kid actually like a murderer or a rapist on the run? That would make total sense. That maybe this kid came in because he was hiding from something. Like, they literally wouldn't tell me anything, so my mind is just filling in all these blanks. So I said, oh wait, oh my God, I think I know why you're here. Like, what happened? Like, is that guy? And then they're just like, what are you talking about? So then I found out they have no fucking idea who this guy even is, and they're here on something completely unrelated. So now I'm just like, what are the fucking odds that these two things would happen so closely together? So they just keep reminding me, we're here for your safety. I just have to ask you again and again and again. They kept asking me, do you want to hurt yourself? Do you want to hurt anybody else? And I said, no. And they said, well, why do we keep getting calls? And I said, I tell you guys every time you come, it's just trolls. But like, they have no internal communication, and that's the problem. Is like, I believe that a lot of the cops that show up have good intentions. They're just doing their job, but they don't communicate with each other. So now I'm the target of the police getting angry that calls are coming in about it. I just got another call yesterday when I was leaving the gym for another wellness check. And I'm like, can you guys, I told the lady on the phone, I was just detained for 2 hours in my home, and then 2 more detectives showed up, and 2 more police showed up, and then another cop showed up. Like, do you guys have any internal communication, or am I just gonna be harassed for the rest of my life on these wellness checks? Because I'll tell you what, the cops for the past month are what triggered me into my very first fucking manic episode. I think an important piece of this story too that I should acknowledge is that I was high as fuck, and I'm an adult, I'm in California, it's legal, I only smoke weed, I'm not on any prescriptions outside of my acne medication. I've been prescribed for my ADHD in the past. I tried it last summer, I decided it's not for me. But weed for me is more of a shroom trip, which is why I don't fuck with shrooms, I don't try LSD, I've never tried DMT, because my weed experience is very hallucinogenic and also very spiritual, which is fine if you're just chilling in nature, or my pool, or my jacuzzi, or on a walk in my neighborhood, bed or trying to meditate or creating or painting. Weed's great, right? When you're being constantly hounded by police and now you're also triggering all these trauma responses, because I do have CPTSD. And y'all, I've been through some shit. I have had a knife pulled on me and my second grade teacher came out and saved me, Mr. Gun. What? I have stood between a gun and children. That's a real story. That's not something that I made up. I was a victim of childhood abuse as an adult. I was a victim of domestic violence. I'm a rape survivor. I've been through some fucking shit. I smoke some weed and I process it. But when there's people with guns and people lying to you, saying they need to use your bathroom and secretly filming you, and like the tabloid shit that I've been through the years, and just like rumors and lies and like death threats and getting 8-page handwritten scathing letters to my fucking door, and like emails of people saying they're gonna dig up my grandmother's body and skull fuck her, saying my little sister's a dirty little slut and they're gonna rape her, saying that they know when I'm gonna be where, and like literally some of the threats I've gotten, like I've looked up the people and they're literally convicted fucking like dangerous people. Like it's scary. And before, I've been paranoid. I've definitely been paranoid, but my paranoia was always justified. But there just gets a point where you're like, your reality and your time starts bending and it feels like nobody's listening to you, and it does feel like everybody's attacking you, because a lot of people are. So yeah, some shit happened in my brain that now, like, I'm sad and I'm hurt and I'm embarrassed, but like it happened and now there's nothing to do but just like move on from it. And I do want to say that 3 of the 5 officers were like really kind and helpful, and I think a lot of it is just like they're not trained to do this, and police should not be called if somebody is in like a mental health crisis, because I wasn't in a mental health crisis until I was like being bullied by people with guns about a mental health crisis. So now that I've acknowledged that, yes, internet, you are right, I was manic, and I didn't know it at the time, as most people in a hypomanic or manic state don't recognize it until they're out of it. And personally, I've never experienced anything mentally like I was experiencing, and I do plan on writing down in detail exactly what I was experiencing, because it was not what the rest of the world was experiencing. And that being said, I also am not going to invalidate my own spiritual experiences, because I do still believe in the divine. I've always on my platform talked about being psychic and made a lot of videos about my ghost stories, and that stuff is still real to me. I am a psychic medium. You either believe in mediums and ghosts or you don't. So that part's not going away. And I am gonna stop smoking weed, because while it used to be a shroom trip to me, it now appears to be some type of DMT trip, and it's just too intense for me. So I guess I'm just like a fucking sober little duck now, because I don't drink either because it makes me sick. And now that I'm experiencing manic states, I will be going back to therapy, because I learned how to cope with and deal with hypomania. I need to make sure that I'm talking to the right people. I'm currently looking for a therapist who is also spiritual and won't invalidate my spirituality or my beliefs, because I still believe in everything that I said I believed in. I believe in God and angels and aliens, because I believe in science and history, and it's what's told through us through our oldest history books, written by people who lived in an entirely different world, who spoke a language that we don't know and that we translated. And I respect my elders, and I respect the history of the world, and I respect that we don't know everything and we don't understand everything. And frankly, I think that human beings have devolved. I think that we were meant to be what we used to be. Maybe we were meant to stay fucking apes, because apes are straight up living in nature. They can literally wreck a human being if they want, and they don't, because they're fucking peaceful until you fuck with them. They just hang out and have sex and masturbate and eat and hang with their babies and hang out in the fucking river. Like, apes have it good. We're the monsters, and we're weak as shit. We had to build guns. You know what I mean? And I believe that we did have a lot more like intuition and connection with the spiritual world, but technology took over. I have my own beliefs about philosophy and time and history and who we are as humans, and I will never stop being an individual who thinks freely. That being said, I'm also mentally ill. They're not mutually exclusive. I believe, especially now with these experiences, I have a lot to offer the world, and I have a lot of knowledge and insight that I can share. But I love to see silver linings, and the silver lining to this is I feel like I can now serve as a precedent or a spokesperson for mental health, which I have always tried to do, and now I feel like I get to really do. You get what you ask for. And I feel like we're in this fucking simulation where everybody pretends now like mental health matters, destigmatize mental health, and if people are going through a mental health issue, still let's attack them and make fun of them, and maybe a decade later we'll free them. And as far as mania or hypomania goes, just because somebody's manic doesn't mean they're dangerous to themselves or anybody else. Just because somebody's saying things in a way that you don't like, or that you don't understand, or that you don't agree with, or you find offensive in some way, does not mean that they're dangerous, and does not mean that you should be calling the police and putting their life in danger and wasting the resources. If I wasn't actually like a sane person and had a good head on my shoulders and had my fucking chakras balanced and practice yoga and eat healthy and really fucking check in with myself and journal, if I had seen those cops and tried to run, if I would have tried to attack them, if I would have freaked out and screamed hysterically or kicked my feet around or like caused chaos, like I could have been really hurt, or I could have been taken to a mental hospital, and I wasn't, because even though I was in a manic episode, that doesn't mean that I'm need to be locked away and need like treatment or adult supervision 24/7 or to be shot with medication. Like, no, just let me live in my fucking little nest that I built. Like, I'm a pretty solitary person. Like, I spend a lot of time alone. I spend a lot of time with agoraphobia and really severe anxiety. I do have OCD, ADHD, CPTSD. A doctor once told me that I'm likely autistic, but I didn't pursue an official diagnosis because if you're autistic in America, you can't adopt a baby. Like, there's so many things that are wrong with our systems. It's insane. Like, it's so hard to adopt a baby in general. And if you're autistic, which there's so many varying degrees of autism, and so many people with autism may be better equipped parents than people who are deemed mentally normal or typical. It's just all fucked. And I spent a lot of time thinking about this shit, but I'm not a danger to myself or anybody else. But I do appreciate anybody's concern if you called out of concern, but please don't do that. Thank you. I love you. Okay, so if you don't know by now, I love the number 7. So I think this is going to be the last one, but I did want to address why I deleted them all, or most of the videos. The first reason is just that there were so fucking many of them. I feel like that's why a lot of people were calling me manic in the first place, which was actually really triggering and probably took me out of a hypomanic episode and into a manic episode. I feel like I get so defensive so quickly because of just like the constant fucking mental abuse and harassment I get online. I'm like very quick to fucking build my walls up. It doesn't take a lot of time to post a TikTok. It takes anywhere between 3 seconds and 3 minutes, and yeah. They just changed so much in content and context. Like, when I went back to the beginning and I was watching it, it was just spoken word poetry about homeless children and homelessness and religion and aliens and witches and numbers and the Matrix and the simulation theory. And yeah, I screamed in that video, the help me video, because I am trying to get attention on it. But just because I'm responding to a poem with passion and emotion and performing, that was performance. Help me, help me, help me, help us. That was performance. But then when it turns into people calling the police because they're not listening to what I'm saying in context, they're just looking into the drama of it, and now it's like a whole different fucking thing. It did spiral into something else. So when I look back at those videos, I'm like, this is actually sad. A lot of them are sad. A lot of them to me are funny, and a lot of them to me are still incredibly clever and artistic in ways that I don't believe that people give me the credit to, give me the time to look into the spelling and the grammar and the punctuation and realize that I am actually doing something really intentional. And that's fine. That's fine. And most importantly, I just didn't represent myself or my points well in certain places. And I'm not afraid to offend people. I think that good art offends people. Like Lady Gaga showed up on the red carpet in a fucking meat dress. That pissed people the fuck off. It was offensive to a lot of different people, right? That's art. You want people to talk. Warhol was highly controversial. Da Vinci in his time was controversial. Van Gogh never sold a painting, cut off his fucking ear. Everybody thought he was crazy. Poe died a poor fucking alcoholic. I'm okay with that. What I'm not okay with is when I didn't do myself or others justice in taking the proper time to adequately express my point. Because my heart is pure and I love all people. And sometimes in trying to prove a point or do any type of irony or satire or trying to highlight an issue, it just misses the mark. And I missed the mark a couple times, but I'll fix it when the time is right. I know I said the last one was the last one, but this is the last one because I never cause drama or fake anything to promote a project. And people are always like, every time she has a project coming out, I always have a project coming out. And I'm always mentally ill.
Eventually, that 8-part series quickly grew into 19 parts. Following the 8 parts, Gabbie decided to directly address specific comments that were being left on her video series.
Thank you for leaving this comment and for giving me the opportunity to clear up this misconception. I actually didn't say that. What I said was I grew up in a town with a lot of black girls. I grew up specifically in an area that was primarily black. And we all just used the words nappy and ashy, white girls and black girls, and nobody ever expressed any type of concern about it because that was just what we were raised with. If we were in school and we needed to borrow somebody's brush, be like, yo, can I borrow your brush? My hair is nappy. Or if your friend notices your legs are dry, she might throw you her lotion and be like, girl, you're ashy, put on some lotion. It was never racist because none of us were ever saying it in a racist context. Now, if somebody were to be like, ew, look at that black girl's skin, it's so dry, she's gross and ashy, that's racist, but nobody was saying that. Do not fucking take that sound bite, somebody, and make it sound like I'm saying that. But my point was, we're intent and your heart matters. Like in this situation, I didn't call my hair nappy. I was giving an anecdote of when a white girl told me that I was racist in college for using words that both white girls and black girls alike used growing up. And I do think that there's a greater conversation to be had about things like this because it's so much unnecessary friction and we start fighting over these little things and then we're arguing over the difference of cultural appropriation versus cultural appreciation. And in the meantime, there's literally people dying in countries without food and water, and actually people being murdered every day. So many issues that are so much bigger than whether or not somebody says the words that they were raised in. I stopped calling my hair nappy when I found out that people found it offensive. I stopped calling my skin ashy when I found out that people felt it was offensive. And the reason I even shared that story and opened myself up to that criticism is to hopefully serve as an example to others. So the only thing that I can really think of that I said that could be perceived as racist is on a live stream I said something about black fathers and black families, right? What I meant by that is statistically, black families do have single parent homes. And because of that, we as a society need to fix the socioeconomic problems and inequalities. Because the disparities in single parent households between black versus white communities has nothing to do with melanin and everything to do with opportunities and education afforded to those in those areas. I grew up in a really poor, high crime neighborhood where I was one of the only white kids. Oh, that's another thing. So I kept referring to myself as colored. I am a real big fan of words
and their literal definitions. Colored, having color or colors, especially as opposed to being black, white, or neutral. So when I refer to myself as colored, I am neither black, white, or neutral. And as a Middle Eastern girl who presents as a white girl with a big nose and somewhat frizzy hair, actually my hair is like mega smooth right now. I've been conditioning every day. I never fit in anywhere. I definitely have been discriminated against and treated like not a white girl. My features that I get made fun of the most are my Middle Eastern features. But if everybody wants to just choose to ignore that I've been talking about white privilege on my platform literally since 2015 or 2016, before it was like a hot topic, I lost a ton of followers and subscribers for it. I didn't care. I've always used my voice and spoken up in times of crisis within the Black community or when we are rallying against racism in general. I love all people, and I'm fighting for equality for all people. The last thing I want to say on this topic is that while I know I said that opportunities in education aren't afforded the same to everybody, but while they aren't presented at the same age, I want to make sure that every young Black, Asian, Indian, Mexican, any color, any race person in America at least is absolutely capable of anything that they want to do. And there isn't a single system or person that can stop you from doing exactly what you want to do. The problem, I believe, is that young people in high crime and low income areas, which are usually heavier in Black people than white people, socioeconomically, it's just how it's been. It's the encouragement and the education and the examples of people who have made it that need to be demonstrated in those areas. See, when people say things like invalidate the DID community, I remember saying that I cured DID because I was fucking convinced as fuck that I had DID. Deadass. I talked to my therapist about it. I talked to family members about it. I really fucking thought I had DID. I would watch back footage of myself and be like, who the fuck is that? Like, I would have different voices, different mannerisms. Like, it was really disorienting to me. And then I would watch back these dissociative episodes where I would literally, and in fact, I have so many of them on camera where I do the thing, like where they say that they're like switching personas, right? So I'm like, holy fucking shit, I have DID. And I'm not saying that anybody else doesn't, or that it's not real. And that's what's so frustrating with the internet in general, is like these heavy things like you're invalidating DID. I said, I cured DID, ADHD, and OCD. It's so frustrating. Anyway, the conclusion that I came with my own kind of mental health journey of trying to figure out what the fuck was going on with me was every time I was like dissociating, it was like my body was kind of just tricking itself into meditation and breath work. It was like, you're really fucking overwhelmed right now. Slow down and breathe. And then when I would come back, I was somebody new. I was somebody fresher. And then I also realized that these characters that I was like creating in my mind were just that. And then as I was connecting with my spirituality more, I was like, oh my God, all of this stuff, these thoughts, these feelings, this is spirit, which is also thought, because our thoughts are not written by us. They're given to us, and then we choose which ones that we want to continue to live with, basically. So everybody wants me to just blindly apologize all the time, but I did that for fucking years, and people still fucking bully me and tell me that I'm a horrible person. So straight up, I'm fucking done bending over backwards apologizing for shit that I frankly didn't say or do. There's a difference between being offensive and somebody being offended, or being intimidating and someone being intimidated. I saw that on an Instagram reel once, and it's fucking true. There is one more thing I would like to say to the trans community. I posted a video where I expanded a bit on what I meant to say. You are safe and you are sane. You are confused.
And very poorly misfired. But first of all, I want to say sorry for the way that fucking came out of my mouth. Now that I've apologized, can I please explain to you what I meant? So what I said was, to my trans babies, mama loves you, you're just confused. So I don't know what this is about me, but I get really hung up on words and their definitions and their technical applications. So I'm not gay or trans, but I have a lot of LGBTQIA plus friends. I've also heard a lot of their stories, and most of them start with like, ever since I was a little girl or a little boy, I was just so confused, or I didn't understand why as a little girl I related so much to the little boys, or why I was so attracted to other girls instead of the boys like I'm supposed to be, or vice versa. Whenever people are questioning and first exploring their sexuality or their gender identity as somebody who isn't born cis and straight, it starts with confusion, because the standard default that's put on us is boys like girls and girls like boys. So to me, confusion is not a bad thing. It's just what it is at the beginning of the journey, I guess. And the confusion is justified because for centuries and centuries and centuries, society has built a gender binary based on the fact that there's two sexes. Outside of the small percentage of people who are intersex, you're born male or you're born female. That DNA does go down to your bones. That being said, that doesn't say anything about your interests, the way you dress, the way you express yourself, what you call yourself, literally anything except for the genitalia that you were born with. What I care deeply about, is the suicide rates between LGBTQIA youth, specifically of color, and also the homelessness. And the current treatment that we have is not helping the suicide rates pre and post transition. That's a fucking issue. I care a lot about mental health, and I care a lot about suicide. And currently, the conversation surrounding this is not really helping the problem. So I'm sorry that I said that you were confused. That's not how I meant it, I swear. And I just want you to know that I fucking really fucking passionately care. And if I could instill confidence and self-love to the deepest fucking center of your core, that's what I would love. He was a fucking bot. The police were bots. Caitlyn was a fucking bot. Dude, they're literally bots. Wanna laugh? I hide messages in my artwork, and in this one I wrote, "That's a bot to me, LOL." He was a fucking bot. Dude, you guys thought that I was dumb for letting a stranger in to use the bathroom? Okay, maybe. I sized him up. I knew I could snap his little twig legs if I needed to. He smoked weed with me at 9:30. And by the way, I have a fucking bone to pick because I'm hilarious. And what upsets me is you guys can never just fucking admit that I'm fucking hilarious. You have to always make it into, oh, she's so crazy, she's losing it. No, I'm fucking hilarious. And what's so honestly hurtful to me, why does my foot look so dirty as if I didn't just get out of the shower? What is so hurtful to me is that you won't just laugh with me and enjoy my genius. You have to make it seem, no, you have to bully me. I'm so fucking sick of being bullied. You all copy my sounds, copy my, oh my God. Oh, little boy, you baddie, my friend. Hi, I love you.
In my opinion, I find it difficult to accept that it's all just a figment of another manic episode. Simply put, harsh things were said, and Gabbie stated them with full confidence and conviction. And I believe when you speak so strongly on whatever stance it is that you have, that's because you're speaking from your truth, what you believe in. I believe that Gabbie believes the things that she's saying. It's not that we're all, as an audience, collectively misunderstanding or misrepresenting the message she's putting out. That discourse lies with you, Gabbie. And make no mistake, it's a good thing that she's at least not running away from the conversation. She's saying some of the right things, but how many times can you keep telling your audience that they're just misunderstanding what you're really saying?
What is so hurtful to me is that you won't just laugh with me and enjoy my